Ni hao, Wu Jiao, Steve Ansell. I'm the Artistic Director of Stage at Leeds here. I'm one of the founders of the Staging China International Research Network, and as you can tell, my Mandarin is really quite appalling, although I am trying. I would have been standing here with Dr. Adam Strrickson as well. Unfortunately, he's had to attend a funeral, so there was no way he could know that's going to happen. So I speak on behalf of me and Adam as well. Staging China was started in 2013 as an international practice-led research network with its hub here in Leeds. It's development from a project called Performing China on the Global Stage, which was run by one of my colleagues, Professor Li Ruru, and former head of school here, Susan Daniels. It brings together academics, research students and theatre practitioners to reinvigorate Chinese theatre as a practice-led and cross-disciplinary subject. It aims to influence academic institutions, researchers, and to impact on performing industries and the public. That's what the website says, and I'm not going to change what it says. I didn't write it. In 2013, Staging China embarked on a project marking the 400th anniversary of the deaths of William Shakespeare and Chinese playwright Tang. There you are. The project was a collaboration between Staging China Network, the Business Confucius Institute of the University of Leeds, Stage at Leeds, and the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. The project also benefited hugely from support from the University of Leeds Business School and the Faculties of Arts and Performance, Visual Arts and Communications, now of course the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Cultures. The project aimed to create an environment where creative collaboration, intercultural understanding and research could flourish. A Midsummer Night's Dreaming Under the Southern Bough, which was the title we came up with, saw two theatre companies, one in China and one in the UK, creating a new piece of performance with the two texts using the overarching theme of dreaming. The creative team at the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing, UIBE from this point forward, worked on a piece by Shakespeare, Midsummer Night's Dream, and we here in the UK worked on a piece by Tang, his piece, Nunka Ji, or A Dream Under the Southern Bough. This was a large project that took 2 years of planning and an actual year to complete the project itself. And in fact, technically speaking, I'm still working on it, as the person doing the video will attest, as I owe him some footage. Sorry, Steve. The project involved skills sessions for the public and participants, workshops, Chinese folk music demonstrations, puppetry, visiting lecture series in the UK and a visiting lecture series in China as well, demonstrations by visiting companies including the Shanghai Theatre Academy and the Fuzhou People's Theatre, who both performed here in Leeds. The show itself premiered in Leeds. The Vice-Chancellor and the Chinese Ambassador were both present here at Stage at Leeds and ran for a week at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival before touring for 3 weeks in China, in Beijing, Shanghai, and ultimately in Tang Zhangzu's hometown of Fuzhou. To realise the project, we needed a huge base of support and funding. It was an expensive project. And so we reached out and got that support from the University of Footsteps Fund, Ignite funding obviously, which is why Adam would have been standing here, China Bank, Eastern Airlines, funding from the Confucius Institute through Hanban in China. We also received support from the Sino-British Fellowship Trust, the British Council, UK universities London SOAS, Newcastle, Aberdeen, and Chinese universities in Tsinghua, Nankai, Fudan, Zhejiang, Shanghai Theatre Academy, and the Shanghai Dramatic Arts Centre. This was a big project to handle and deal with. The project performed to over 2,000 people in the UK, China and Scotland, and almost as many people were involved in workshops and ancillary activities. I say ancillary is the wrong word. They weren't ancillary, they were parallel. The aim, as I said, was to create an environment for intercultural exchange and practice. It was also an attempt to bring together academics and students from two quite different cultures. And it wasn't always easy brokering deals, brokering discussions, creative talk using Skype, text, emails. And even when we came together in Leeds and Edinburgh, there were still challenges that I will loosely term cultural in terms of working methods and practice. And this actually was one of the most challenging and yet simultaneously exciting parts of the project, in dealing with multiple partners, their needs, their rhythms actually, and it's all too easy to decide your way is the right way and continue down that path, blinkered. I've found in now 5 years of working in Asia, and I've just seen Long over there, hello Long, who can back me up and says he was there. You have to respect and understand who you're working with, and you have to find joy in that working relationship. You have to find something good in that relationship. The only thing I can liken it to is if you're an actor, you're always told, even if you're playing the villain, you've got to find something you like in the villain. Well, it's absolutely true. You've got to find something in that relationship that really works for you both. And that, I think, is how a partnership works. So what did I get from this? For me, the most important lesson I took from the experience was at the end of the project, after everything I've just said about the difficulties, our student companies in both companies became friends. They're still friends. One of the Chinese company followed us to the railway station in Beijing and got on the train. We had to forcibly remove her, and she's now in this country. And I am also really good friends with my co-director in China. Said that. Dr. Adam Strrickson received an HRC grant to study Chinese opera in China. I was there for 3 months. One of our students in PCI attended Shanghai Theatre Academy for a year and has just returned to do her 3rd year. One of the company members I just talked about from China decided to do MA in this country rather than in France as a result of the project. A huge amount of work went into the planning and delivery of this project. In fact, Professor Lee and myself are still working on it, as I mentioned earlier. The UK script has now been printed in China together with reflections by our students and their experiences, and that sits in the Tang Zoo Museum. A documentary about Tang Zoo, in which we featured, is currently in production. And I'm now in the early stages of a new project working with the Confucius Institute once again, and 2 Chinese corporate companies, which will hopefully take place in 2019. I may have to write a book about Dreaming Under the Southern Bough because it was so very, very large. And I was trying to work out how to sum this up. That's Adam, by the way, the man in the colourful shirt there. He is with us in some small form. He folds very well. So, what have I learned from doing a really big project that was cumbersome and difficult and intercultural? I think what I learned is if you take care of the details, then the big picture tends to take care of itself. And if you're wondering who the small children are, they're mine, and they're there for no other reason than I really love my kids. That's the only reason they're there. There's no academic reason at all. This was an image taken for the CCTV documentary in the Tang Zoo Memorial Park in Fuzhou, and these are 2 of our actors. There's no sound to this, but I hope it makes my point. I hope, anyway. Take care of the details, and the big picture takes care of itself. Thank you.